Assalamu alaikum everybody. So this is going to be part 3 of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's story. We left off when Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and his people were being persecuted. Some of them went to Ethiopia, and Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was invited to Medina. And when he came there, people said that a mosque was built for him, a house was built for him, so that all the Muslims can gather, do their 5 daily prayers, but also Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam would give the Sahaba lectures after every prayer. Now, we cannot go through all of his sayings. I'm just going to bring the key sayings of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. But before that, we're going to talk about this character, because a leader cannot teach when he doesn't have good character. It's with good character that people would accept to listen to him. So, Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam doesn't have a picture. He doesn't have paintings. The only thing we can show you is his belongings. This is the shoe he used to wear. This is the staff he used to hold. This is the turban he would wear on his head. And this is clothing. It's like, picture it as what I'm wearing. One simple robe. So this is the stuff that he would wear. And the reason why I show you this is that I want to tell you guys that he's a very simple person. Right now, Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is at the same level as a president. Imagine a president. You're in a higher status, right? You have money, because right now he's the leader of a city. So he controls the wealth of that city. He controls the people. So I would say Medina is the first Islamic government, or the first Islamic city. So at this point, we would see him as a different person, but Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he doesn't show people that he's different from them. Because spiritually he's at this level, but he put himself down to be at the same level as every person. One of the characters of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam that I want to bring is his empathy when he's around people. He's not an arrogant person. He always avoids a situation between him and people to be awkward, which is very important for you guys to learn. Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam doesn't like when a situation is awkward. For example, when people would come to him and confess their sins, and you know that's a very humiliating situation. When you go to an imam, for example, and say, "Oh, I did such and such," sometimes people don't like talking about that. A lady once came to him and told him that I committed zina. And Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was calm. Zina means adultery. But Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was calm with her. He didn't say, "Why did you do it? You're a bad person." He didn't say that. He told her, "This is the rulings of zina. But you are pregnant. We're going to wait until that child is born, and then you will receive your punishment." Look at how he handled that situation. That's why in religion, you don't judge people. You don't scream at them. You go by the book. Because when Allah instructs Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam to say things to people, he doesn't take care of whether the person follows it or not. What he focuses on is delivering the message. What that person does is between him or her with Allah. And that's the behavior I want all of you guys to have. The other thing is, he's a simple person. He doesn't dress like kings do. When he sits down amongst people and you look at those people, you won't know who the leader is, because he was simple. Just look at the clothing. Compare it to current kings. He's a simple person. He doesn't like too much. He takes what he needs. The rest he gives it to people. That's how he handles money and everything. He takes what he needs. Instead of buying a Ferrari, buy a Corolla, Toyota Corolla. You don't need a Ferrari. It's just a car. You're only buying a car for transportation. That's it. You don't need the luxury. And that's how Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was. He focused on what matters, but not what I want. And that's the ego. That is very dangerous, and you have to control it. The other behavior that he has is, like I said, he doesn't want people to feel awkward. One day in his house, Aisha, one of his wives, didn't find some food to cook for him. What was in the house was some bread and some vinegar. Now tell me, guys, would you guys eat bread with vinegar? Would you eat it? You wouldn't eat it. It's not good, right? That's what was in the house. So she combined it, and she gave it to the Prophet ﷺ. Now when Prophet Muhammad ﷺ saw that, he took the food, he ate it, and he told her, if you added more vinegar, it would be better. Now, let's look at this situation. Muhammad ﷺ knows that Aisha feels bad for giving him that food, but he doesn't want her to feel bad. Like I said, Muhammad ﷺ doesn't want a situation to be awkward. So he would cheer her up by saying that. Now let's look at our society today. What are they going to say? If it's the wife, oh, you didn't give me enough money. Ana dépense me, you didn't give me enough money. That's what we hear. If it's the husband, why didn't you tell me to buy the food? Why didn't you this and that? What did you do with my money? That's how our society behaves with their wives.
Can you listen
and that is wrong. We're not in this world to accuse people. We're here to learn, because we're all created weak. That's why we're not perfect in our decision. And Muhammad ﷺ takes things with ease. I would say he is the first psychologist, in my own words, because he knows how to behave with people. That's why everybody listens to him. Everybody comes to him. No person will say, I don't like how Muhammad ﷺ is talking to people or how he does stuff. Nobody's going to complain because of his behavior. And like I said, if you look at the polytheists, before Islam came, Muhammad ﷺ was called the trustworthy one. Imagine someone who worships idols calls this man who doesn't worship idols like them a trustworthy one. That's not a title that's simple because of his behavior. And this is what we want you guys to have. So we're going to move forward. That's just a little bit that I wanted to tell you about Muhammad ﷺ. When it comes to his physique, he was muscular, but not like big, too big, not too small. He was a muscular person. His hairs were at this level. When you look at his face, it's like you're looking at the moon because of the round shape and the light that would come out of his face. When he laughs, he doesn't open his mouth. He shows his teeth. Or he closes his mouth. When he eats, he doesn't open his mouth. Like when he chews the food, he doesn't open his mouth like people do. He doesn't do that. He eats with 3 fingers. That shows you how simple he was. He's not like me, who take my hand and grab the food and, eat like whatever. When he eats, he takes it easy. I separate my stomach in 3 parts: a part for the air, the oxygen, a part for the food, and a part of the water. When he eats, he's balanced. He doesn't eat too much. He says he eats until he's not hungry anymore. And he only eats when he's hungry. That's very good to follow. When he walks, it's like a bird is on his head, because his head is like, it's like he's looking down, but that's just humility. That's just humility. When you're very close to Allah, like that's what you see in the people who follow Allah. They don't do this like it's like they're very humble in the part. They think they're bad people. They look down. When he walks, it's like a bird is on his head. And I will stop there. Just understand that what we need to take from him is his character. And it's just what I said. We're going to move on to his teachings. These are universal teachings of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And these are mostly taken from the hadith, and we're going to go through them one by one. Alright? The first one, he said, good actions are valid with good intention. Whatever you do in life, that is good. If you didn't have good intention, meaning, I'm going to give away charity, but if I wanted to do that so that people can see me, that action is not valid. Alright? If you wanted to pray, but you only pray so that people can see you, that action is not valid. The intention determines whether the action is valid or not. The second part, wish for people what you would wish for yourself. That comes back to the empathy. If you're at ease, if you're feeling peace inside your heart, you also would want everybody to feel peace. Meaning, if you see a person who is not following the straight path, who is lost, you have knowledge, why not you go to him and teach him the straight path? Because that person might not find someone who can teach him, or he doesn't know anything. You who know, is your responsibility to guide that person. And because you want him to be like you don't want him to be lost. It's just like charity. When you see someone poor and you have money, you don't want them to live a bad situation. You want them to live peace, just like you. You help them. If someone is, for example, in college, they're struggling. You have good grades. You are very smart. Go help them, even though you don't know that person. That doesn't matter. Because in this world, we're all from Adam. We're all the same. We're all the same blood. The only thing is, we're different. The skin is different. That's the only thing. But we're all the same. So, wish for people what you would wish for yourself. Or love yourself. Love for people what you would love for yourself. So the question, I see someone raising their hand, but the question's going to be asked at the last minutes. I'll let you guys know. The third part. If you do not fear Allah, do what you please. This is the saying of Muhammad ﷺ. In life, everything that is righteous, everything that is a good action is from Allah. We human beings, our issue is this ego, this body that we were created with. This body tells us, do this, do that, don't do your homework, go watch movies, hit this person, curse at this person. That's the ego that's telling you to do that. But Allah, everything He teaches you is not from what this body wants, it's what the soul wants. The soul is obedient to Allah. Everything you do that is different from Allah's teaching, you're following your nafs, the ego. That's what He's trying to say here. If you do not fear Allah, because every good action you do it out of fear. Do what you please. If you cannot follow Allah, the body is going to take over. The fourth part. What makes your path in Islam better is to leave what is not important. You guys are praying 5 times a day. You're fasting during the month of Ramadan. You're going to the mosque. You're coming to the daira. But if you combine that with unnecessary things, that's going to slow you down to the straight path. Let's say, for example, we gave you an assignment. Go read your Quran when you go home. But instead you go and play a video game and watch TV. You're not going to invest because of unnecessary things. You might not have a bad deed on that. You won't have a bad deed. But it's a waste of time. Because you have something important, which is reviewing your Quran. So focus more on the Quran than that. The fifth part. 2 characters are not found in a Muslim: misbehaving and selfishness. That is the difference from someone who is rightly guided and someone who is not. If you are rightly guided, you are obedient to Allah. You respect everybody. You have good character. But if you don't show good character, you're not following the teachings of Islam. You're not following the teachings of the Quran. Because you're going against what Allah is telling you to do. And the model Muslim is the Muslim who has knowledge, but also has good behavior. You need that in your life. So always evaluate yourself. What did I do yesterday? Was it a good thing? It's not part of my deen. I have to stop doing it. But also being selfishness. Allah could have created one man and say, you're going to live Islam. But it doesn't make sense. Who are you going to give charity to? From whom are you going to learn? From whom are you going to help? There's no Muslim brotherhood. There's no community. It's all about a community. Allah said in the Quran, we created you to be different nations so you can know each other or help each other. That's what makes Islam meaningful, is that you have to share this deen with others. You have to work with others so this deen can have a meaning. But if you're by yourself, if you refuse to help people, if you refuse to teach knowledge, if you refuse to see people, you cannot advance in your deen. It's like you're in nothingness. Do you guys understand? Okay, so being selfish is not good in life. Always think of others. Alright? The other part, if you commit a sin, do your best to replace it with a good deed. We are weak, like I said. We sin. But you always have to make an effort to be a good Muslim. A philosopher called Confucius said, don't be afraid to fall down. Always make sure that whenever you fall down, you're able to stand up. That means that in life there are struggles. But while you're in that struggle, while you're sinning, make sure that you're advancing at the same time in your deen. Make sure that you're walking in your deen. Don't pull back. Don't say, oh, I can't follow Islam. It's too hard. Don't do that. Even though you did the worst sin, Allah can forgive you. But say to yourself, I can be one of the best Muslims. I have to try. Always have that motivation in you. The other part, avoid hypocrisy. There's someone in there. Avoid hypocrisy. The hypocrite betrays, lies, and doesn't give their word. That's one of the characteristics of a hypocrite. Being a hypocrite is like, even this is true, I don't care, I can do whatever I want. They lie. Lying in us is not part of the deen. A Muslim doesn't lie. When you lie, it's like you left Islam. The lie is going to go up to Allah. And the lie is going to transform to an entity, and the entity is going to say, Allah, this creator of yours lied. That's how the sin is. It goes directly to him. Betraying. That's one of the most worst characteristics of a person. Same thing. Does not give your word. If someone says, can you do this? And you said yes. And at the end of the day, you don't do it. What does that mean? That's hypocrisy. But this is something that every Muslim should try to, erase from their character. The last part, which is the best advice I can give you guys. Speak with good words or be quiet. In this life, I can tell you, all these wars you're seeing, all these problems, all these fightings, it comes from the tongue. The quickest way to sin is through the tongue. Lying, backbiting. Oh, Selu, your sister did this, and it's not true, right? And then Selu's going to be angry. He goes to his sister. Why did you do it? It's not true, right? And then sister say, why are you yelling at me? Blah, blah, blah. It's not true. Somebody can say something and people believe it. And they go through that and they say it to this person. They spray it. It spread, right? Everybody now comes together and argue. It comes from the tongue. Look at what the tongue can do. The tongue can create anything. Cursing people. You can curse someone, they pull a gun, that's it. The tongue. Control your tongue. And the best way to control your tongue is by being quiet. Say something good or be quiet. A philosopher said, silence is the best of friends. Silence. If you know that what you're about to say is bad, don't say anything. So that's what we wanted to tell you guys. This is just a portion of the teaching of Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He said a lot of stuff, but we just want to present you these things. Now, I'm going to start with in-person who have questions. No. You raised your hand, so it's important. What is it?
How do they have pictures of Muhammad's clothing that was like 400 AD? 400.
Say it again.
How do they have Muhammad's clothes? Like,
Yeah.
how?
Yeah,
They just found it.
it can last. You know, Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam's belongings is held by the Sahaba. They take care of it. They keep it. Generation to generation, they give it to people. They watch over it until we have it here today. So a tissue can last for years, centuries. You see buildings lasting since the Egyptian Empire, right? The same thing clothes can do. That's the wooden staff that you saw. And some shoes. Those can last for a long, long time. And all of these are placed in the museum. Okay, so you had a question?
Why do we need good? Why do we need good health? So if you be nice to people.
Yeah. Why do we need?
Why do we need it? Why do we need health to? Why do we help?
Why do we need help?
Health.
Health, you mean?
Yeah.
Health.
Yeah.
Well, we need health to be to do activities in this world, to be alive, health is everything. You can't function if you don't have health. Okay, I'm gonna ask people online. Online, do you have questions? Online? Online, do you have questions? Okay, anybody have questions? Okay, Babakar, what's your question?
Why do we need help for making us playing and making and going to the amusement park?
That's not related, Babakar. What are you talking about, help or health? Helping, that's what you were saying.
Help.
Why do we help?
Why do we need help when people are not? Why do we help people so we recognize?
Why do we help people? That's a very good question. You know, in this world, we can all pray, fast, do all the deeds in Islam. But helping people is a portion of the deen that can help us educate ourselves, but also you can have good deeds. Or the educational part is more important because helping people makes you more humble. It puts you at the same level. Let's say you're rich, somebody's poor. You're helping them, you're putting yourself at their level. But you're also being humble. You're also developing mercy. All those characteristics can only come to you if you do those actions. But it's also a good deed. But also that builds relationship. You get to know people, you know. And it's not only about giving to poor people. It's also through knowledge. If you have knowledge, people don't know, you go, you teach them, that's going to be beneficial to society. Let's say you have a job. You're the CEO of a company. You hire someone. It's not only about the work. You're developing a relationship. It's like that person is part of your family. So helping brings people together, you know, and that's very important. Okay, we're going to stop there. So next Sunday is going to be the last lecture on the story of Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We're going to talk about part 4, his return to Mecca and the farewell speech he gave. What do you have?
No, I was like
we
trying
can wait a little bit. And the farewell speech he's going to give. Now, that is a very important part in this lecture because Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, that's the last time a human being is going to see him. What's important is that speech he's going to give. How can we use it in the future? What happened after Muhammad? We're not going to go through there. We're just going to follow this book. But you guys can see that Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is not followed correctly in this current day. Because after his time, bad stuff happened. But we're just going to finish with that part of his history. But know that I'm just making this easy for you to learn. But if you want to learn his story in depth, we can talk. Alright? Okay, so that's it for today.